Yeah, I went to Celebrate Your Life. It was I had been reading his book, and I had been wanting. This was early on in my grief, and at first I was thinking, I'll go to like a conference on near-death experiences because I was really obsessed with that stuff. That helped me so much, and just nothing ever felt right. I was really trying to like listen to my intuition, and then one day I was reading his books, and I saw a conference called Celebrate Your Life, and he was a speaker. It ended up he wasn't there because he had a heart attack right before that. He's okay, but he didn't actually go. But when I went to that, I'm going to take you on another story now. But there were 3 mediums that were there for the keynote. One of them was Lisa Williams. So I'm in this audience with 1,500 people. I was there with my friend Kate, who's from upstate New York, also, and her brother came through. I met her because her brother died, and I was friends with her brother in college. A lot of strange coincidences in my life. So her brother came through, and then someone else came through, and that was pretty wild because I had been praying to him on the way to the event to come through and give her a message, and he did. And there's some funny stuff, but it actually won't make context. It will be too long of a story to give context to it, so I won't go there. But then she brought through somebody else, and at the end she said, okay, he's bringing through a child, but I don't think he belongs to you. So, she's on the stage and we're all in the audience. And so she starts describing he's about 7 years old, and, my friend's hitting me, and somebody we had just met is, they're both elbowing me. It's, raise your hand because they'll run over a mic to you. And I didn't. I waited a little bit longer, and she said a few more things. I'm like, okay, that's got to be Ryan. So I raised my hand, and she comes over. And I mean, it was one thing after another, exactly right. I had already been to a couple mediums before that, so I knew it was real. But this was like wild magic with all these people there. And I mean, one of the first things she said was he died in a boat propeller accident. It was pretty horrific. And one of the first things she said was, he needs you to know that it didn't hurt. And I hadn't said how he died. And so like we're all crying, the whole audience is crying. But the coolest thing that she brought up was, she's like, why am I hearing the word crocodiles? And I said, oh, well, today's the Florida State Gator game. And we were big Florida State fans in my house. And we used to joke and call the Gators the crocodiles. And she said, well, yeah, but he's also saying you have his shoes. Well, backstory.
Were you wearing Crocs?
Well, backstory. I should have given the backstory first. Backstory is he had these little Florida State Croc shoes. And the day after the accident, his brother Josh saw them kind of paired perfectly at the bottom of the stairs and just collapsed in hysteria when he saw his shoes. And it was gut-wrenching for me. Well, I picked up the shoes, put them in my bag, brought them home, put them in my closet. They're still in my closet. I still look at them all the time, but I used to look at them every day before I leave my closet. I would look at his shoes. And I also had a pair of his little green boxer briefs in my closet that I would look at every day. Well, before going to the conference, a couple days before the story I'm telling you, I couldn't find his green boxer briefs because when I was packing for the trip, they got like lost in my piles of clothes in my closet. And I had to like talk myself down from my anxiety attack that I was having. Like, you're going to miss your flight. You need to leave now. You'll find the underwear when you get home. So here I am now, fast forward 2 days later at this thing in front of 1,500 people. And she goes, no, but he's saying you have his shoes. And then she says, I feel a little weird saying this, but he's showing me himself running around on the stage in his underwear. And I just like lost it. I'm like, you can't make this up.
Right?
You can't make this up. So I had now 1,500 new friends immediately. I mean, even the presenters the next day were talking about, were you guys at the Lisa Williams thing last night? That was amazing. And I'm raising my hand. I was in that one. Yeah. That was me. Yeah, it was cool.
Wow.
It was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think I used to be kind of, I don't know if I was never fully a skeptic. It was always just that questioning, and, but the more stories that I hear from, people like you and other people that I come in contact with here at the studio, there's just no doubt in my mind. And then I got into Brian Weiss books, the past lives regression and stuff like that. And I I was kind of obsessed with it for a little while. Like I listened to all of his audiobooks.
I have so many stories you're triggering off right now. That I want to tell you, I did go to Brian Weiss, had an event in Fort Lauderdale. And this was the first spiritual event I went to. And that Celebrate Your Life story I just told you was like shortly after this. So I went to Brian Weiss with my husband, and they do meditation. You try to get to a past life. And I had an experience. It wasn't really a past life. It was actually a little girl in a pink tutu twirling in my back patio. Did I tell you this story before? And she has like pin straight black hair, a little clip. Like I can picture her perfectly. She was maybe like, not 2. And so I thought, okay, I had a miscarriage. Maybe this was the little girl that I miscarried. And it was like as if somebody was holding up an iPad to my face is how I saw it. And fast forward, okay, at that Celebrate Your Life conference, I meet this woman named Tina Robinson, Clanaris Robinson. She's amazing. She's writing an amazing book right now. She's an artist, and a lot of people in this world know who she is. We became besties, and I went to the conference 2 years later, the Celebrate Your Life conference, with her. As her, she would do her art. She was one of the vendors there, so I went as her helper. But they had the same 3 mediums for the entertainment on Saturday night. So I went in to the entertainment. I ran into Lisa Williams in the hallway, and I said, I don't know if you remember me, but you did the most amazing reading for me 2 years ago. And she did remember. And I thought, why did I do that? Because I really want Ryan to come through again. I'm being selfish. I want him to come through. And now she won't bring him through. But I had been praying Tina had lost a child during childbirth. So I was praying, her name is Mia. So I was praying to Ryan, bring through Mia. I don't know why. I just feel like Ryan's got extra special power. So Tina decides to stay at her table, not to come into the show. So I'm thinking, I saw Lisa in the hallway. Now she's not going to come through. Then all of a sudden I had like this knowing that I get sometimes. Oh my gosh, Ryan's coming. So I text my friend. I go, you got to get in here. And she knows me. So she's like, I guess I better get in there quick. So she came in, and sure enough, Lisa Williams says, I have this boy here. I know who he is because he's in his Superman costume, which is a whole nother thing, which I knew. He had a cape on. I knew that's something she didn't know that I knew, that was him for sure. And she says he's here with, he's got a little girl with him, and he's got like actually a whole bunch of kids with him. And she said a couple things. She goes, but I don't really feel like the reading's for you. And I knew that. And so they ran me the mic, and I talked for a second. I handed it to Tina because I knew that it was her daughter. And sure enough, it was. And she says, she's spinning around in a little pink tutu. And it hit me that it was Tina's daughter that I saw in my meditation before. And then I had to look up exactly the dates of the Brian Weiss conference, because it was a couple years before, to realize that it was before I had met Tina. But the little girl looked exactly like her son, Thomas, who I since had met.
Yeah.
I mean, I was freaking out. She's getting the reading. I'm like beside myself. My head is exploding, while she's getting the reading, because I want to tell her so badly. I had to wait. But yeah, it was pretty wild.
Wow.
So lots of crazy stuff is happening.
That's, you know what? That's the magic.
Exactly.
That's the magic. And don't you dare miss the magic.